The town of Gray Hollow had always been quiet, the kind of place where people didn't lock their doors, where neighbors waved from their gardens, and where the loudest sound at night was the wind moving through the trees. At the center of the town stood Gray Hollow Primary School. It was old, older than most of the buildings around it. But what people didn't talk about was the land beneath it, because hundreds of years earlier, long before the school was built, the land had been something else entirely. A burial ground, not for ordinary people, but for criminals. In the 1700s, the town had used the hill outside Gray Hollow to bury those who had been executed. Murderers, thieves, and violent men who the town believed deserved to be forgotten. Their graves were shallow and unmarked. Over time, the land was abandoned. The stories faded, and eventually the town built a school on top of it. Children played where the graves once lay, and for years, nothing happened. Until the disappearances began. The first child vanished during lunch break. 7-year-old Daniel Harper had been playing near the far end of the playground, close to the old oak tree. 1 minute, he was there. The next, he was gone. Teachers searched the school, police searched the woods, but Daniel Harper was never found. People assumed he had been taken, but there were no footprints, no witnesses, no clues. 2 weeks later, another child disappeared. This time it happened inside the school. A teacher left the classroom for less than a minute. When she returned, one of the desks was empty. The window was still locked. The door had never opened, but 8-year-old Lily Warren was gone. Panic spread through Gray Hollow. Parents refused to send their children to school. Police began searching every inch of the building. That's when they noticed something strange. Near the old oak tree where the first child vanished, the ground had started sinking. When workers dug into the soil, they uncovered something disturbing. Bones, dozens of them, old skeletons stacked in shallow graves, the forgotten criminals. But something else was wrong. Some of the graves were empty. That night, one of the security guards stayed behind to watch the school. At around 2:30 in the morning, he heard something coming from the playground, a sound like dirt being moved, slow, scraping. When he looked out the window toward the oak tree, he saw shapes in the darkness, tall figures pulling themselves out of the ground, their bodies twisted, their bones barely held together by scraps of old cloth and rotting skin. And they were looking toward the school. The next morning, another child disappeared, then another and another, always near the playground, always near the graves. The town historian finally revealed the truth. Hundreds of years ago, when the criminals were executed, the town denied them proper burials. No coffins, no prayers, no markers. They were dumped into the earth like animals, and, according to the old records, the condemned men had sworn revenge. They said the town would never know peace. Now something beneath the school was taking children, but no one knew why, until one police officer made a horrifying discovery. Inside one of the open graves were small objects: a child's shoe, a school badge, a backpack zipper. The children weren't just disappearing, they were being taken underground. That night, the police brought excavation equipment to the playground. They began digging deeper and deeper until the ground collapsed beneath them, revealing something no one expected. A tunnel system, ancient, dark, and stretching beneath the entire school. From inside the tunnels, they heard children crying, but the voices weren't alone. Something else was moving in the darkness, something dragging itself slowly through the dirt. And then one of the officers' flashlights landed on the tunnel wall. Dozens of handprints covered the stone. Small ones, children's handprints, leading deeper underground and mixed among them were larger prints, long skeletal fingers clawing through the dirt. Something that had been buried for centuries had finally found its way out, and it wasn't leaving empty-handed. Police sealed the tunnels beneath Gray Hollow School. But to this day, the playground is locked at night. Because sometimes, teachers say they can still hear children's voices coming from